Welcome to the Accountability Program for Adams County, Pennsylvania. The accountability system used in this program was made possible through funding provided by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Adams County Volunteer Emergency Services Association. Accountability is defined as a system used to track the assignments of personnel operating on an incident scene with the intent of improving the safety of those personnel. The reality of accountability in today's fire service is that a significant number of NIOSH fatality reports include a lack of accountability as a contributing factor. While requiring effort by all personnel, and personnel to specifically execute the system, accountability is a necessary practice. In reality, the system should require a small amount of effort on the part of all personnel and a more significant amount of effort on a small group of individuals in key command and general staff positions. This system was specifically designed to apply to all emergency services personnel operating as part of the fire service in Adams County, Pennsylvania. This includes suppression personnel, rescue personnel, emergency medical personnel, and fire police, who can all function within this accountability system. In order for the system to work, it must be consistently used, even on what may seem to be routine incidents. So the reality is that more than one fatal event started as a routine response. It's also very important that all of our members understand the basics of how the system works. Now, in the accountability system, each emergency responder is issued 2 accountability tags. These tags are made out of aluminum and they're backed with Velcro. Now, each of these tags gives us a few important pieces of information. First, we have the responder's name. Okay, that's on the center of the tag with a unique identification number underneath. That identification number is unique to that particular responder. They do not duplicate throughout the county. Now, there are also 4 squares at the various corners of the accountability tag. In the upper left, we have a red square. This indicates if the responder has fire training and is operational in that capacity as an interior firefighter. Lower left, blue to designate EMS training at the first responder level or greater. Lower right to indicate that they are trained in vehicle rescue at the operations level or greater. And the upper right, hazmat in green to indicate that they are trained at the hazmat operations level or greater. These 4 squares indicate the training levels that are considered basic and to be operational at those capacities. In addition to the 4 squares, red, blue, gray, and green used to indicate training, we also use an outline on the tag to indicate fire police training. This is denoted with a lime green outline on the tag, shown around the outside there, to indicate if the member is trained in fire police operations. We also use a separate color to designate junior firefighters or personnel operating under the age of 18. All of their tags have a completely orange background. That way that the incident commander or other staff can easily designate those personnel that are under the age of 18. When not in use, the accountability tags for the system for each responder are stored underneath the helmet brim. There's Velcro at that location, as shown here. That's where the tags can be stored between uses. In addition to the 2 tags issued to the first responder, there are 2 additional tags that are issued to the fire department as backups. These should be held in reserve in a place of safekeeping in case of loss of the original tags. In the accountability system, the accountability tags are stored on unit collection cards. Each unit has a set of primary collection cards and also a secondary collection card, shown here on the right. Second collection card is red. It'll always remain on the apparatus. Primary cards are white. These are the cards that go to the accountability board at command. Each responder places 1 accountability tag on the primary card and their second accountability tag on the secondary card. Notice how these 2 accountability tag setups on each of the unit cards mirror each other. On the completed unit card, we have a number of things indicated. First, we have the unit ID. This unit ID is indicated as engine 991. Now, as we go down the unit card from top to bottom, we have the unit driver, indicated by the D, the unit officer, indicated by O, and then the crew tags, okay, which are shown in positions 3 through 8. The fact that the driver's tag is shown inverted indicates that that person is staying with the apparatus. This would apply not only to drivers, but to any other personnel remaining with the apparatus. If the driver happens to be traveling with the crew, they're going to be parking the apparatus and traveling with the crew, their tag would appear right side up, just like the rest of the crew. You may have noticed earlier that I referred to the primary unit cards in the plural. There are in fact two primary unit cards. You have what we would call your primary unit card and then your Bravo card. For example, here we have engine 11. This is your primary unit card, and then we have engine 11 Bravo. Okay, that's what we call the Bravo card. Now this is used in the situation where you're going to be splitting your crews. You're going to be sending two different segments of your unit to complete two different tasks. So we start here with a typical setup. We have the secondary card over here on the left. All right, this is what's left on the apparatus. This is our entire crew intact. And then we have the primary card here, where right now we have all 6 members of the crew intact on the primary card. Now let's say we want to send members 4 and 5 from the crew over to complete a different task. We're going to be moving them over to the Bravo card. So now we have 2 separate crews that are functioning on the fireground. We have engine 11 here in the center, okay, with its 4 crew members, the driver and the 3 other crew members, and then we also have engine 11 Bravo here with its 2 crew members, which may be completing a completely different assignment. Now the unit cards need to all be stored on the apparatus within 24 inches of the officer's door A post. The preferred storage area is going to be immediately in front of the officer where they can access. Put a strip of Velcro there somewhere in that area where all 3 unit cards can be aligned side by side and easily accessed by the officer. And this perspective gives you a little better view of where we're talking about in the cab itself. Now you have 2 options as far as assembling your unit cards for a response. The officer can pass the cards to the rear of the cab for personnel to attach their tags. Then they do the final assembly and put them back in storage position, or you can assemble them prior to response. That's entirely up to you. Basically at the end though, when you're en route and everything's completed, you want to return those unit cards to the storage position intact and complete as shown here. Now the default initial collection point for the primary unit cards will be on the officer's door of the first arriving apparatus. It'll be the responsibility of the incident commander to otherwise designate the collection point from there. Typically this will be at or near command on the accountability boards. Remember, however, that no matter what, that secondary unit card needs to remain on your apparatus in the storage position within 24 inches of that officer's A post. This is to be used in the event of catastrophic tragedy to determine the personnel that were on that apparatus. Remember, as we move on to crew fireground movement, that crew integrity is the best thing you can do as far as accountability is concerned. Regardless of the accountability system that you use, remaining intact as a crew is the greatest accountability tool that you're ever going to have. If these 2 firefighters constitute a crew and they're aware of each other, that is accountability. They're aware of each other's actions, they're keeping track of each other. As you move from your fireground operation to rehab to staging and so forth, maintaining crew integrity is essential. Now when it comes time to move about the fireground from task to staging or to rehab, it's important that the crew's officer in charge, the person that's riding the front seat position, retrieves that unit card from accountability located at the command post and takes that card along to rehab or to staging as appropriate. When you check into rehab or staging, you need to hand that unit card to the supervisor that's taking care of either rehab, or staging, respectively. When you then move on and are assigned another fireground task, then you take that unit card back with you as the OIC, return that to accountability at the command post, and assume your fireground task that you've been assigned. The last item to address here as part of the accountability system introduction is the subject of personnel accountability reports. All right, these are conducted within divisions and groups. This helps to save on radio traffic as opposed to actually trying to communicate with every individual unit on the fireground channel, which congests the channel quite a bit. This can be accomplished relatively swiftly if a number of steps occur. First, the individual firefighter needs to ensure that the crew OIC knows their status. You need to make sure that the front seat rider from your apparatus knows where you are and what you are doing. Second, the crew OIC needs to make sure the division or group supervisor knows the status of his crew, that his crew is accounted for. So if you have 3 engines involved in the attack group at a building fire, if each of those engine OICs communicate to the supervisor of the attack group that, hey, we're accounted for, we're okay, that can be done verbally, does not have to involve radio communication necessarily. Finally, will almost certainly involve radio communication most of the time, will be when the division or group supervisor reports their status to command. Usually this will be done, again, by radio. So first we have the individual firefighter who's going to be communicating to their crew OIC to make sure the OIC knows their status and knows that they're accounted for. Second, we have a crew OIC, in this case working in a vehicle accident. They're going to ensure that the division or group supervisor, in this case in charge of the rescue group, knows his or her crew's status, that they are intact and accounted for in that situation. Again, this can often be done verbally without radio communication. Finally, we have the division or group supervisor who will often report their status to command via radio. They're going to be usually far enough away from command. It's going to necessitate the use of the radio, but by keeping it limited to the division or group supervisors on the radio, it really should help cut back the congestion on the fireground channel. This concludes the basic introduction to the accountability program for Adams County, Pennsylvania. For more information, view our video on the advanced introduction to the accountability system, where additional elements of the system are covered to greater detail.